Welcome back, crew. It's February, and we are diving into the amazing Avatar Legends system by Magpie Games. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the core mechanics of the system, letting you know how to play Avatar Legends, and going over some of the basic moves, harmony moves, as well as just how you roll dice and how the dice are resolved within the system. Before we do that, a few shout outs. As always, with our games of the month, we're going to be doing a live actual play video of the game Thursday, February 23rd at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on my channel, T&J Gaming. You're going to see these mechanics played out. Me and the crew kind of diving into an Avatar style adventure. Really looking forward to it. We're setting in the Avatar Roku era, so it should be pretty sick on that side. But as always, we're going to be giving away a free PDF copy of the system to one lucky viewer. So make sure you come through to my channel, T&J Gaming at Twitch, link in the description, Thursday the 23rd at 7 p.m. Eastern Time for your chance to see the system get played out live. Also, with Avatar, it's a Powered by the Apocalypse style game. From what I've seen, they've got a little bit more robust combat actions. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be splitting this into two. So today we're going to be covering a lot of the core basic mechanics, touching on those basic moves, harmony rolls, as well as how to roll the dice and how fatigue stacks up. And in the next video, we're going to be doing more combat focused, as well as how conditions work with this system. So definitely make sure to keep an eye out for both. They're going to be both dropping this weekend, today and tomorrow. And then our final video will be coming out Wednesday, where we go over, as always, trying to find something unique with the system. And I thought one of the things I did really well, especially if you're an Avatar fan, is break down how the different eras work in the Avatar world. So we're playing in the Roku era, but they also have Kyoshi, the 100-Year War era, the Aang era, the Korra era, and they've got some cool stuff for all of those. So we're going to just do a real high-level overview of that with our last video, pre-actual play game. So stay tuned for all three of those. But yeah, let's dive into the video. So we're going to be looking through the core mechanics of the system. If you're used to Powered by the Apocalypse style games, you'll know one of the biggest pieces of the system is that it's very conversation oriented. It's fiction first, where rather than being kind of dominated by the mechanics or dominated by the system's guidelines, it's going to be more of a conversation between the game master and the players trying to tell an effective story together. So with this system, one of the biggest pieces of advice I can give to any game master or player on this side is tell the fiction first. Don't kind of rely on a move. Don't, if you're going to be assessing the situation, kind of lean into the RP of the moment. Have your character go around, say they're scouting around the area, looking for any hints of clues and all that, and just really kind of describe the fiction first. And game masters, when your players describe that fiction, determine if it's worth a roll. Sometimes it's better just to give them the information, give them what they're looking to do. If there's not going to add to the story, if it's not going to add a fun complication, if it's not going to push the fiction and story further and kind of make for engaging moments, just kind of give them what they need to do and keep moving until you get to those fun, exciting parts, keeping the energy high. I think that's really one of the big pieces of the Power by the Apocalypse style games, is keeping that energy high, keeping the story moving, and keeping everybody engaged. So definitely utilize that conversation, talk amongst your players, and kind of keep the fiction moving as you do so. One of the biggest pieces, too, is kind of how dice and moves work with this system. So we're going to touch on the dice first. Dice, you've got 2d6 with the Avatar system. So you roll 2d6, and then you add whatever your modifier is to it. So if you're rolling from one of the 4 core skills, passion, focus, harmony, or creativity, you'd roll that 2d6 and then add whatever your modifier is. And then you're going to determine whether it's a hit or a miss or a hit with complications. So easy enough to do. There's no DC set by the game master on this side. It's flat. So if you have a 10 plus, that's a hit without complications. You get whatever you were hoping to do without any additional elements being added to the story. 7 through 9, you get what you wanted, but there's a complication. There's something added to the story, some type of obstacle you may have to bypass, something new that's occurring that you have to deal with. At 6 through 9, you just get a complication. You didn't get what you wanted. Something bad's happened. You have to react to it now. Now, with the complications, I want to say, especially if you get that 7 through 9 range, the complications don't always, this is something that I think you have to change your mindset from other games, because a lot of people look at that 7 through 9 as a failure. You got what you want, but you still failed. But no, complications are a great way for Powered by the Apocalypse style games to increase the tension and add more elements to the story and keeping that energy in the story and the fiction moving. So I think that's really one of the biggest mindsets change on there. 79, you may have something you have to deal with, but it's hopefully going to keep that story moving forward and give you something nice to kind of keep the fiction moving, hopefully give you something that can just shake it up a little bit and just add that extra layer of tension to make the story perfect. So, with those two, kind of you're wondering, how do I get to roll the dice? What triggers rolling the dice? That's actually getting into the moves. We're going to go over the basic moves and the harmony moves a little bit later, or the balance moves, I should say, a little bit later. But when you go through, you kind of interact with the fiction of the story in a way that would trigger a move. And once you trigger that move, you roll the dice and you resolve it according to whatever that move says. So that's just kind of the core ebb and flow of a Powered by the Apocalypse style game. The last thing we're going to touch on here before we move into the actual basic moves and harmony moves is fatigue. So some moves will call for adding a point of fatigue to be able to execute them. And you have, as a player, five fatigue spaces you start off with. You start at 0 fatigue, and as you go and utilize those moves, and sometimes there's moves that NPCs or even your fellow PCs can do to add a fatigue to you. And as you go through, track those, and if you get to 5 fatigue, you're no longer able to utilize anything that has a fatigue. If the way they put in the book is if you had a choice between adding fatigue and doing something else, you'd have to do something else. And if somebody else does something to you that triggers fatigue, you would take a condition instead. We're going to go into conditions more, but just a little bit of a piece on that. If you ever get to 5 plus or more than 5 conditions, you're going to be kind of knocked out of the fight, knocked out of the fiction, and you're going to be kind of out of it until somebody can rouse you and get you back in. Now, last piece, there's a couple different ways you can reduce fatigue. You can do it by one of your teammates providing guidance and comfort to you, kind of just stepping in and being a friend and trying to help you out. That can reduce 2 fatigue, but you can also do it by resting, and you get different bonuses, whether you're resting in a nice, safe place or if you're resting in the wild. All varies on how you're taking that rest and making sure that you're getting the time and space to heal and rest up from that journey. But yeah, let's get into it. Now we're going to get in moves into the system. So basic moves are moves that everybody has access to. I know we went over in our character builder that certain playbooks get certain moves, but basic moves and the harmony move or balance moves as well, everybody has access to them regardless of what playbook you chose. So with these, just another shout out to remember to enact the fiction, kind of utilize the fiction to trigger the moves rather than just calling out the moves. You have these resources you can use to pull out and kind of hopefully add to the story that you're trying to tell together. So the first one is assess the situation. And just a reminder, all of these are going to be triggered off of one of the 4 key stats. Assess the situation is going to be triggered off creativity. With this one on a 7+, you get to choose one of the options here. And basically, you see the different questions they have there. What here can I use to blank? What is my best way out or in or through or whatever you're doing there? So if you've got a situation where one of those kind of options may apply, act out assessing situation. On a 7+, you get to pick one. Or 7 to 9, you get to pick one. On a 10+, you get to pick 2. 6 below, you don't get to pick any. And that's going to be kind of the style for most of these moves. I'll really only call it out, and again, if there's something interesting that a 7+ through 9 does or a 10+ does from now on. You also have guide and comfort, which I talked about that a little bit as well, which you can use to help your teammates remove conditions or remove fatigue, and just kind of help move that story along. And on 10+ with that one, you could also shift their balance too. And by shifting the balance, you could move one of their 4 core stats up and one down. So you can move up their focus down and creativity, or focus up and creativity down, and vice versa, any of the 4 stats. You also have Intimidate, which you could use to bully a person using your passion into doing what you want. 7 through 9, they get to choose one of these options below. 10+, you get to choose. So you could make them, if you get a 10+, you could make them run to escape or get backup, whatever you want to choose. On a 7 through 9, they get to pick what they want. So this is a cool one, I think, where you can kind of, as a player, if you roll well, kind of express your will over the fiction a bit. Pleading, I didn't like the name as much. It's kind of a persuade or ask for aid type or move for the situation. So basically, you go to an NPC who cares what you think. You can't use this to somebody who doesn't really care what you think. And basically, you're going to ask for help, support, whatever it may be. On a 7 through 9, they're going to be willing to help you, but they're going to need some type of explanation, evidence, or sign of good faith to do so. 10 plus, they're willing to help. 6, not even willing to help. Push your luck. This is a cool one. Basically, this is going to be pushing your luck in a risky situation. So it's a passion roll. Basically, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be trying to do something that is almost beyond your skill set. It's not something that you're trained for, not something you're really able to do, not something your bending should be able to, without great skill or cost, to be able to accomplish. And basically, you're going to be doing this at a cost. So either on a straight hit, you're going to do this with a cost, no matter what it is, and the GM should hopefully let you know what that is before you go. And on a 10 plus, you're going to boldness is going to pay off despite the cost, and basically they're going to tell you what other opportunities fall in your lap. So this is a cool one, especially if your team is doing some like bending that may be a little bit advanced or outside of the rule set. This could be kind of a good way to do it. And also, I think I should have mentioned bending a little bit ahead of time too. So the rely on your skills and training will be a lot of where the bending fits into. But bending isn't its own move in the system because you're trained, you're a bender. Bending should be kind of involved with everything. So if you're assessing a situation, if you're an airbender, maybe you're assessing the situation from the air using your glider, kind of looking around and what's going on. Or if you're pushing your luck, maybe you're using your earth bending to lift a ship out of the water. Whatever it may be, it's just something that's the bending is ever present. It's not its own move. They wanted to kind of bake it into the system without making it too much of a focus. But with that said, relying on your skills and training is going to be a lot of the time where your typical core bending moves will fit in. Now, when I say that too, with your bending, if it's GMs, if it's something they can just easily do, if they want to lift a rock or make a gust of air or light something on fire, just let them do it. But if they want to build an earthen bridge to cross a wide chasm and keep it maintained as your players cross it, this may be a good time for skills and training. But outside of even just the bending, this may be where you use your background a lot. Like with the character we built, who's a noble from a military background, maybe if he wants to look and assess the enemy's tactics, this could be relying on skills from his military background, or maybe he wants to schmooze with other nobles, kind of on the same side. Remember to take people's backgrounds and things into check, and if their background fits what they want to do in the fiction, rely on your skills and training. If it doesn't fit what they want to do in the fiction, push your luck. Kind of an easy rule on that one. So the trick one, I feel this is like cool avatarness. Basically, if you want to trick an NPC, you're going to utilize creativity with this, and focus was rely on skills and training too. But creativity for trick, and basically the 7 through 9, you can pick one of these. They can act foolishly. The GM tells you what additional opportunities it makes. 10, you get to pick 2. So this is kind of, I feel like this is like straight Avatar as they get through, especially the last Airbender. This could be a fun way to get some hijinks and get some fun moments at the table utilizing the creativity skill. And then finally, for the basic moves, help, which triggers a fatigue. You don't need to roll for this. You just take one fatigue and you give one of your party members a +1 to their roll on whatever action they're looking to take. So now the balance moves. So if you watched our character creation video, which definitely go check it out if you haven't, each of the different roles or playbooks has 2 balance options. And usually you're either going to start at the middle or kind of slightly shifted towards one or the other. And as you go along, you can utilize the different skills in this playbook to be able to affect your balance. So one of the cool ones is live up to your principle. So if you've got a principle that you're kind of, what are your guiding principles? Like for the hammer, care is one of their guiding principles. If you're using in a moment to live up to your principles, rather than roll whatever the usual moves kind of core skill is, you can use your rank in that balance instead at the cost of fatigue by living up to your principle. So you have to make sure to call that out as you're kind of describing the fiction, and then you get to switch out what you roll with it. With that too, if you find one of your NPCs or fellow party members even aren't living up to one of their principles, you can call them out to do so. And with that, you could shift your balance away from the center, and on a hit, basically they can be called out to act as you say, or they have to mark a condition. On a 7 through 9, they challenge your worldview in turn, marking a fatigue or shifting your balance as they choose. And on a miss, they can demand that you act in accordance with one of your principles. And instead shift your balance. So it's kind of a cool give and take on that side. Definitely one of those ones that should kind of, I think, hopefully come for some cool party moments as you try to help each other live up to the ideals of your playbook. You can also deny a call out. This is typically only when NPCs can only trigger you to deny a call out. With this, you're going to basically roll with the principle they're calling you out on. On a hit, act as they say or mark fatigue. On a 10 plus, their words hit hard. And you must either shift your balance, or must also shift your balance towards the called on principle. On a miss, you stand strong and basically clear a condition and you're good to go. So remember, some of these ones you're rolling, but the conditions are changing. So rolling high on this one probably won't be as good. You want to roll low. And as always with PBTA style games, you can resist the influence. I'm not going to go over this one too much because it's pretty standard to that style of gameplay. The last one though we were going to hit because I like this one pretty cool, and I like how they picked the picture of Azula completely unbalanced. I feel like this really fits the avatar. Kind of like the mythos, for lack of a better word, a little bit. I think harmony, living up to your principles and keeping yourself in balance with those principles is, at least in the Avatar, The Last Airbender, and Korra too, even, was a core piece of the story. So I think I was glad they had a move that kind of allowed you to bring that into the mechanics and bring that into the fiction of your story. So this one basically triggers when you are past the tracker on one of your principles. So for that care, let's say you went beyond the tracker on care, you filled it past the brim, you're going to have to do, you're going to lose your balance and you're going to have to do one of these three options. You're going to give in or submit to your opposition. You're going to lose control of yourself in a destructive or harmful way. Or you're going to take an extreme action in line with your principle and then flee. And then afterwards, you're going to be able to have time and recover and rejoin the group. So I think this would be one. Unfortunately, it's not going to show up in our one shot, most likely. I feel like this would be why they have to have a campaign for kind of pushing that needle along. But I think it has some cool story moments. And I really like that they built this mechanic into the fiction. But yeah, so that's kind of a quick look at the core basic moves and balance moves that apply to the Avatar Legends system. Always hard not to say The Last Airbender. So hopefully you liked that. Definitely shout out some of your favorite moves or some of the cool things you noticed about this system in the comments. As always, we're going to be doing a combat view of this system now tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. We're going to go over conditions, some of the combat resources they provide in this game, and some of the advanced combat moves too, just to get a little bit of a shout out on what the system can do. And then make sure to join us for our live actual play game Thursday the 23rd at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and your chance to win a free PDF copy of the system. Definitely make sure if you're new to the channel to like, subscribe, and follow. Each month we pick a different tabletop RPG and dive into its core mechanics, building a PC, something unique for the system, as well as just kind of our first impressions and review. So stay tuned for all of those, but thank you for joining, and until next time.